Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Engadget Podcast, episode 25, Black Hole Sun. Our regular host, Terrence O'Brien, isn't here today, but I'm Devendra Hardwar, senior editor, and I'm joined by a flock of people. This is Team Brown in Engadget.
Woo!
Let's
Team
call
Browncast.
it. Yeah. Today joining me is reviews editor Sherilyn Lowe. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Lowe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Also, social media editor Mallory Johns. Hello.
Hello. Thank
First
you for
appearance
having
on
me.
the
First
podcast.
appearance
Wow.
on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm very
Congratulations.
excited to be here on
Making
Team
her
Broadcast.
Broadway debut.
Hello. And Chris Velasco, senior editor, and our mobile lead. Hey,
That's
Chris.
me. Hey, hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
What's going on?
What's poppin', Slime?
I wasn't gonna go there.
Why?
This
is why we're never having you back, Mallory.
I chose not to be that person for the first time in my life.
We will try really
I mean, I
hard
wanted
to
to
watch
do it. I
out
had to do
for
it.
for in-jokes.
yeah.
Everybody.
No in-jokes, guys.
But that's like your
I'm
thing.
staring
you
at
know?
all of you guys.
Yeah, but
That's your
New
catchphrase.
Year's resolution. Though,
Don't
is to
look at me,
not.
Devendra.
It's your catchphrase.
Okay,
Everyone
no
needs a
two
good
conversations
catchphrase.
going on at one time. Just one.
Sorry.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
How are you guys doing? How are you guys doing?
I'm not well
Okay.
because of tomorrow.
What's tomorrow?
A very sad gray day in this
Oh,
country.
huh.
I'll be wearing black as I am right now, so
Uh-huh.
maybe I'm just preparing for being in mourning. But it's the inauguration of this person who's going to be a president, I think. Yeah.
I think.
Something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
details
Wild.
escape me, but
That didn't affect the
sounds
title of this
correct.
podcast at all. Yeah, we're all feeling a little doom and gloom here.
It
but
doesn't help
we'll
that
see.
a lot of us are still sort of like residually sick from CES,
That too.
which
yeah.
just will not let us go.
Yeah.
And it's like what happens when you're in a family when one person is sick and it just keeps going around and around. They just keep passing it on to each other. I think that's what's going to
So
happen.
we'll be
with
sick
us.
for the next
We'll
7 to
be-
8 months.
Yeah,
is what's
basically.
happening here.
Until
honestly.
CS again. So.
And I kind of cursed myself last night by saying I didn't catch the sickness because this
Well,
morning I had an insane
You
coughing fit.
asked for it.
Yeah,
You basically did.
basically.
But nothing like some good debate to get that out of you.
No,
huh?
definitely.
Segue.
Segue. Good job.
I know.
Let's start with our Flame Wars segment. This is where we pick a topic, have two of you guys just kind of go at it and fight each other and see who, man, Sherilyn,
What?
man, no, but and
Just really
see,
judgy, by the way.
and we'll basically see who wins in this debate segment. We'll take a pro and con side, and just so listeners know, we don't always believe in the sides we take. We kind of just, it's kind of like a debate. We just pick a side and just have to fight for it.
It's an exercise in
It's an intellectual exercise.
yeah. That's about it. I mean, yeah. I couldn't care less about the topics today, to be honest. So.
Whoa,
Wow.
whoa, for real.
Nah, okay.
There's some
I'm
good
kidding.
stuff.
Wow.
We got some-
There's-
we've had a
Do
good
you
Flame
work in
Wars,
tech?
actually.
There's about two that I care about.
You're like, hey, yeah.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna have Sherilyn and Velasco fight each other, and Mallory, you'll be the judge, and you'll
Woo.
figure out who wins these things. And our first story, we had a great story this week about the product placement in Final Fantasy 15, specifically the cup of noodles product placement, which is that really that kind of disturbed me the first time I saw it. This is a story by Sean Buckley in Engadget, and yeah, it's not just cup of noodles. There's Coleman coolers. There's a whole bunch of different product placement in this thing. Just wondering, what do you guys think of it, Sherilyn?
I don't think it's a good idea in that it's not necessarily something that's not subtle, right? It's obvious that it's product placement, but at the same time, it's silly. It's also brings some real world elements into a game that's so fantastical that makes it more like immerses you a little bit better in the game. Done.
Wow.
Nice. Right under the buzzer.
I
V,
know. I see you reaching.
your
for it.
rebuttal, V.
Okay, let me know when to start. So basically, Final Fantasy, like most video games, is a piece of escapist art, and bringing in really obtuse, silly references like this to real-world products pulls you out of something which should have its value completely separate from the real world.
Wow.
I'm just gonna hit it because I like to hit the button. Okay, no, good job. That was like 10 seconds.
Yeah, but he made
learned-
like maybe 1 point.
That's
I made
Such
true.
a
two.
bold statement, though.
Not like a strong. Okay, so do you guys want to follow up with
Yeah.
what you're saying?
I think
Yeah.
in addition to the fact that it brings in real world elements, it's also fun. It's also like interesting to see. I mean, plus if this is another way for them to make money, I don't fault the company for doing this.
Although it didn't really factor into the
I'm saying
price of the
if.
game or
I mean,
anything like that.
No, it doesn't
Yeah, as
translate
in
to
like
consumers. It doesn't like pass on. To
if it
them.
was like a cheaper game because of some of these ads,
Sure.
that'd be kind of nice. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure they're making some money off of this, right? I'm not saying that they have passed on the cost benefits to their gamers. They're basically making more money. And who's to judge someone for wanting to, bolster their bottom line?
Gotcha.
I think my main issue is just how blatant all of this stuff is. Like, if it was just so the main storyline of Final Fantasy 15 sees like 4 guys driving across the country trying to save this, that, or the other, and if they just like mentioned it in passing once or twice, I'd be completely fine. But the fact that there is a segment where you sort of like try to find ingredients to put in your cup noodle, as a piece of art, like the intersection of art and commercialism in that way just feels really wrong and not at all what I want out of a video game. I want to live this life. I want to follow these guys. I don't need to see
bros.
Exactly. I want to live the bro life with these guys in a car in like a desert.
To be fair, I mean, there are varying degrees of subtlety in the way they implemented this, right? It starts out very subtle with the Coleman cooler, right? And then it goes on to the Cup of Noodles game where you actually have to find the ingredients.
It
to put in there,
escalates, yeah.
Which to me is actually kind of the appeal. It makes me want to play the game now because I'm like,
Wait, no, that's not true.
It's true.
gosh,
I play games like Hong Kong Cafe just because I want to make ramen. Like that's people like me. There are people. This is a subjective, it's a personal point of view thing. There are people who will be attracted to that. You're saying this because you don't enjoy the idea of.
Well, so your contention is that there is someone out there who will look at Final Fantasy
heated.
15, a game with a sprawling overworld and some kind of story which doesn't really exist, but whatever, and we'll look at the fact that you can make cup noodle like halfway through the game, and be like, yeah, I'm totally in.
Yeah, and then stand up and make a real cup of noodles for themselves.
To be clear, advertising in games isn't new. I remember seeing
yeah.
billboards and stuff in
Of
PC
course.
games, even in the 90s, right? That's stuff has been
And
Right,
if you're a
but to have-
mobile gamer, like you deal with
It's
all the time.
It's
all the
unavoidable for sure.
But to integrate it into the game, that's so much
Yeah.
more interesting than just slapping an ad in your face.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not
Okay.
interesting. It's just bad. It's just a bad.
It's just bad on a moral level.
mean-
Mallory, who do you think won this debate?
I mean, I personally have a lot of feelings about this.
That's fine, but
I really
you're
think
picking
that
who-
I
Who
really
argued the
think
best.
that
Who argued.
Velasco's statements were on point. I love you, Shalyn, but I really think his
I
statements
don't
were
love
on point.
you.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Team Brown just fell apart.
A
in
divorce
this
is
moment.
happening in Team Brown.
No,
So
we're
quickly.
fine. It's
Okay,
fine.
cool, great.
My OG is still Momo, so she knows.
Wow.
By the way,
Alright.
who has never been on a podcast, and we need
She
to
has.
fix
She has.
One
Oh, she
time.
has.
And then she
Yeah.
won, and then she never
then
went
never-
back again.
Oh boy.
the winning strategy.
Next one. Next story.
Way more interesting
There's
for
a
me
company that is using the Tinder UI for adoption. Swiping right or left on a child whose life you want to save. This is by the company Adoptly. Nathan Ingram just did a really good post about this, a good opinion piece. And as we can tell from the comments too, people don't like what we say about this. But what do you guys think? Is it a good idea to implement the Tinder swipe UI in an adoption program type thing?
To be clear, my point of view is that it's not. It is a dehumanizing UI for such a prickly or a sensitive topic. There are instances where a swiping UI works, like, for example, real estate or buying shoes or whatever. But when it comes to children, humans, you can't just swipe left or right and say, oh, there's like millions around. There's a more personal connection to be made here.
Right under the buzzer.
Oh, I saw you reaching for it.
Yeah.
I just keep
So I should throw out for the record, I do not believe most of what I'm about to say.
Okay.
But I think the thing to keep in mind about this situation is that, yes, it's a bad idea, but this is not going anywhere. Like, these are just guys with a bad idea. They don't have the money to pay the people developing the service. They don't have a long-term plan. It's just a thing they dreamed up and raised money for on Kickstarter. It's just Kickstarter crap.
Whoa.
So
Wow,
that's your
right?
Apologies
argument.
to Kickstarter.
Well, I mean,
No
To be
apologies
fair-
to
to be
Kickstarter.
fair, versus
my
what
my
we see
point
from Kickstarter is
ultimately
crap.
is that
Yeah.
I can't argue with the fact that this is dehumanizing, but as a force that we would see in a larger scale, like this in particular instance will not work.
You're
I'm
saying
telling
it's
you-
not about to become a widespread means of adoption. Like, people are not going to adopt it.
Right. I think looking at the mechanism at play here, it does not work. It will not work. These guys will realize that. But in the meantime, they don't have the resources to make this happen anyway. Like, it's a non-issue.
okay, but to be extra clear, the question was: is it dehumanizing for an adoption app? So you agree with Charlotte?
There is no taking another side on that.
I
It's-
really wanted you to go for it, and like.
All right. Do you want me to like? Do you really?
Go
you
for
go
it.
for
You
it.
had this is your last chance.
It's great.
Chris.
You know, like Speed. I've got to live with this kid for the next 18 years. Yeah, just give me. I'll take that one, please. I love Speed
I mean,
and
in the
frictionless
same way,
life.
and I don't want to make your argument for you, but I mean, the Tinder UI is also looking for something similarly personal. You're looking for someone that might or might not spend the rest of your life with you, right?
I don't think people are looking for that
No.
on the Tinder.
Well, no, but a lot of other
Yeah.
like dating and relationship apps take on the same form, where
Right.
it's just easier to kind of sort through a bunch of people with that format.
But it's a
and
sort. Yeah, it's a
Right,
sorting.
but it's one thing
technique.
if you're weighing potential options as like a partner for your life. It's another when the person on the other end of those swipes is a person you're responsible for decades, right? Like you're not entering into a relationship of equals in that sense. It's you as
so the agency
Yeah.
is on you and
The
not on
agency
them
is
either,
completely
right?
on
It's not
you.
like a match.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but my point is still the same. It's dehumanizing. You're the one that has to.
I
find
can't.
it.
There's I've argued myself into the only possible decision, which is that
You've
Sherlyn
painted
is right.
yourself into a little bit of a corner here.
Mallory.
Yeah.
You
I
be the
mean,
judge.
Sherlyn for the win.
There's no two ways
So you're
about it.
very
Yeah.
reluctantly giving me that point, but I will take it very
I
gladly.
didn't
It's a
reluctantly give you that
well-earned
point.
point.
It's a well,
I
yeah.
tried.
It's
I even
well-earned.
tried arguing his point for him.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, but again, like he said, I don't think it's going to take off on a larger scale. Hopefully not. Although I don't remember what their Kickstarter reaction was like. I don't know if they've done well on Kickstarter.
If you want to see a lot of justification for using this, go look at our comments
Yeah?
on that story. Because I think our readers just hate it when we criticize anything. It'll all make you a liberal snowflake, guys. Next story.
Liberal snowflake.
That's what we
Liberal. I
are
love
for.
being a snowflake.
Yes. Next story.
Yeah, go ahead.
HTC's U Ultra and
This is us right
the-
here.
Yeah.
Oh
the
my
big
gosh.
phone.
This is where we know what we're talking about. Whereas before,
I like how you guys get very excited because nobody else in the world is excited for these phones. But will the HTC U Ultra and whatever the hell the big one is called? What is the big
the
one
U
called?
and the U Ultra.
U
right?
and the U
U
Ultra.
Play and the U Ultra.
U
Okay.
Play.
Good
Yeah.
description.
All
Whatever
right.
the hell the other one is called.
Yeah.
So V.
Will
is-
these save
Go
HTC?
We haven't seen a device that HTC has made that has the potential to save them as much as this thing does. The last few years, we've seen devices that operate on the same theme. These bring new elements to the table. They're not super novel, but they're signs of life in a company that sorely needs them.
All right. 15
Wow.
seconds.
Okay.
Sherilyn.
I think signs of life aren't enough to revive a dying person or a company, and I think that the things they've tried to innovate on here are borrowed from so many other companies that there's not enough innovation going on from themselves. Stop cutting into my
I
time.
didn't. I caught myself. I caught myself.
No, that was about 12 seconds. Good
Keeping it
points.
tight.
Good points. Yeah, you guys are moving fast.
I will mention this, though, since we're going to like rant about phones for a little bit anyway.
Let's do that. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh. Nerds.
Like, yes, we've seen these sort of features in action before. Huawei has a very similar sort of AI-influenced sort of power and performance management system, and obviously the LG V10 and V20 have secondary screens, which the U Ultra does. I think there is an argument to be made that neither of them has really like nailed this so far. Huawei is harder to shake out because we haven't had it for that long, and the potential payoff down the road could be really significant. I don't think I've seen a second screen device that has really made full functional non-gimmicky use. Whereas with the U Ultra, the gist of it is you've got this sort of AI assistant combing through your notifications, combing through your applications, and saying, this is what you need at this time. This will get better with time. And it lives up here. It doesn't get in the way of all of the stuff that you do on the regular. It has its own zone that you can, take to heart.
Is there
or
any
ignore as
reason we
needed.
should trust that, though? Like, HTC hasn't shown... They've taken a while to get good with their software. What was it?
Blink feed and
Blink feed and all that stuff. And that was... Blink feed got better over time, and then
Yeah.
they kind of killed some of the more
was it,
interesting
Sense UI?
features.
Was there the
the
name of
Sense
theirs?
UI.
Yeah.
Can we trust that HTC can actually build a useful, AI type thing for this?
I mean, building an AI by any definition is going to be a really difficult and sort of long-term process. But we have seen HTC get better with software, to your point. Like, they've realized, hey, some of our stuff, like, it's just not necessary. So they've pulled it out. They've let Google stuff stand on its own. I think, if nothing else, their understanding of the ecosystem and what people kind of want gives them maybe not an edge, but it gives them insight as to how something like this should work.
So I have 2 points against your argument here, and that Mallory, if you listen to this and understand what the argument here is, you will see it's very clear.
Okay.
First of all, HTC has done this for the past few years. They've iterated on something that they've known works for them, and they've tried to make it better, resulting in the 10, which was by far the best flagship they've ever made. So doing the whole improving on something that's tried and tested is kind of their thing, and it still hasn't brought them back to life, like in that kind of a way. So kind of doing the same thing here, I don't see it panning out for them in a good way in the future. The second thing is what Devendra pointed out, is that AIs and digital assistants kind of isn't HTC's thing. If they had just used Google Assistant or even Alexa and implemented that with the second screen, I can see that going
If
somewhere.
that was like a pure Google Assistant window up there,
I
that
can
would
totally
be
see that
kinda
going
hot,
somewhere.
yeah.
But that's not what they decided.
hot.
And so this is not enough to save HTC.
And you pointed this out before. They're basically just lifting features
Yes.
from LG. Like it looks just like the V10 and the V20, the way the second screen is
I don't think
implemented.
the V20 had a second
Is
screen.
it?
It did.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
That's the V series, Sherlyn.
Oh, that's right. Yes. It's just so. It's
That's the
so
whole point.
unobtrusive
Yeah.
this time around.
I also I didn't really care for either of those phones too. So it seems like it's
Oh, I love
weird
the V10.
for that to be the feature HTC is jumping on here rather than, I don't know, doubling down on a new design or trying to, like, think back to the original one, right? The M7. That thing kind of reshaped how we
Oh, yeah.
viewed phones
sure.
moving forward. Like the iPhone 6
Everyone
looks like
cloned
that
it,
phone.
yeah.
Everybody cloned it. That idea of having a unibody aluminum,
Yep.
really nice feeling phone. And it's kind of surprising that they basically couldn't make it work, or they never got a good camera. And I think that
Yeah,
always
that-
held them back.
That dual. Well, they
Yeah.
were the first to do dual pixel.
Right, yeah.
I mean, dual. What did they call it?
Dual
Ultra
camera.
pixel.
They
sorry.
did ultra pixel, but it didn't. That was a garbage.
But then they didn't do it well. You know what I mean?
and that was a garbage like excuse for having a 4-megapixel camera
Right,
in your
exactly. Oh,
phone.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
That was-
So a lot of mistakes, some good design implementations, but yeah.
Anyway,
V-
I'm sure V has thoughts.
I
Yeah.
mean, so I think to your point about HTC sort of finding its rhythm with kind of variations on a theme, like a year after year, pretty consistent refinement, that's fair. I think, to your point, again, the HTC 10 is probably the best smartphone HTC has ever made. But I think after making that and not seeing it move the needle the way they needed it to, the time for a change was then. Like, they couldn't just keep making the same thing
clear.
better. And with regard to the AI, frankly, we don't really know what's going on there. Like, it's very possible.
Yeah.
I doubt that there's probably like a couple guys working on AI, but it's not like a huge team. They're probably licensing this from someone
Yeah.
who knows what they're doing.
I mean, probably, but I also hate it when companies throw around terms like AI for what's basically you're just organizing. You're doing Google priority mail basically for my notifications.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing.
But man,
it's not
like,
AI.
yeah, sure, but like, good luck getting away from that in 2017.
Yeah.
right?
No,
This
to be
is true.
Like,
Yeah.
people are playing so
You're
hard
gonna
and
keep
fast with
hearing
that AI
it.
So
label,
awful.
right?
Mallory,
Anyway.
you be the judge.
This was a really tough one because I really liked both of your arguments.
Well, the question is, do you think this phone will save HTC? That's
based
basically
off of the arguments that I heard, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with Sherlyn on this one.
Sherlyn.
I mean, I didn't
Sorry,
bring up this
V.
point before, but also the smartphone space is extremely competitive, and
Yeah.
HTC just is going to struggle if it keeps just doing this boring old routine.
Follow-up question: do you guys think HTC will be around in its current form next year? Because
I think they have the 1A9/A whatever it is now.
Yeah, like their
that might
Desire
still-
series, I think, will
That is-
continue.
yeah.
Like they
but
might.
those are cheap
Well,
phones.
so
not
they'll
Still,
let-
they still should exist.
So
mean,
I know, but-
the way the trajectory I see for HTC is that Vive gets spun out into its own thing. Like
It's already its own thing.
right? But
Yeah.
like completely independent.
you
of
mean so
HTC.
somebody buys
somebody
Vive.
buys it,
Yeah.
or like they just sort of realize most of our resources could do more.
Because
impact.
right now Vive is an independent company. It's still a part of HTC, but
Right.
it's-
So I
it's
think
independent,
we
yeah.
might see the nature of that relationship change. I don't think HTC has the guts and the resources to continue being a flagship player, but I do think their mid-range stuff is both strong
agree.
enough and well received enough
I agree.
to keep them around in some phone fashion for the next couple years.
They have some of the best looking like mid-range phones.
yeah,
in
like
the
the
market.
design, like
But can you build a business around mid-range phones? Like
There have been companies that have.
Yeah.
HTC just has to like dial back its ambition.
Right.
Because the thing
And
is,
frankly,
those,
go ahead. I
those
was going-
those other companies, to be clear, they're doing the cheap ass phones. They do other things.
Yeah.
Right now, HTC they don't do tablets. They make phones for other people. They design,
Yeah,
they build
yeah,
phones for other
no,
people,
that's fair.
like the
I'm-
Pixels.
Which isn't to say that that's like a bad strategy, right? That still could keep them in business for a
Right now,
while.
the best HTC phone on the market is the Pixel and Pixel
Yeah,
XL.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Which is still kind of ugly, but
Yeah.